Welcome back to my terminal. So in the previous video, we talked about how I got tired of reconfiguring my computers manually. I got lazy and wrote some scripts to perform most of it in an automated way. If you haven't watched the previous video, I highly recommend you watching it first, as if you don't have the context, you most probably may not be able to appreciate the demo that we are about to see in a moment. If you already have the context, which was quite a lot of theory, let's finally see some action. My primary Linux distribution for quite a long time has been Arch, and that is the one we'll install during the demo today. The base or vanilla Arch does not come with the regular graphical installer that most of us are familiar with. Instead, the entire installation happens within a command line terminal and involves typing a lot of commands manually. Arch documentation is enormous for almost everything, and hence they have a pretty detailed page dedicated for installation as well, which you can find here. After I successfully installed Arch for the first time on my Dell desktop, I created a couple of personal notes as gists on GitHub for my own reference. You can find them here and here, each of them being for a very particular computer. Obviously, both of these links are mentioned in the description. They're mostly based around steps mentioned in the Arch official setup guide, and though you should rather refer to the official material, this thing can serve as an example for a quick reference, just in case. One other thing about this basic Arch setup is that you need to install and configure many more things according to your preferences, all by yourself. Though I like to do it this way so that I have the most control over how I set up my Linux, not everyone would want to go through that lengthy and arguably difficult process. So if instead of a basic system, you're looking for a ready to use and out-of-the-box system like Ubuntu, but that is still Arch, you can install one of the distributions that are based on Arch. And there are plenty of them, just like there are so many of them based on Debian and Ubuntu. But speaking of Arch-based distributions, you cannot miss mentioning Manjaro Linux, as it's one of the best Arch-based distributions out there. And it comes with a range of official and community editions for you to choose from. Installing one of these Arch-based distributions is way easier, as they come with the familiar graphical installer, which is often the Calamares installer, or however you pronounce it. Now these two options are at the two opposite ends of the spectrum, and just in case if you're looking for something in between, which is as close as possible to the vanilla Arch and also comes with a graphical installer, you can use something like Arco Linux. It is my favorite Arch-based distribution, which was in fact my entry point to the Arch ecosystem. We'll use Arco Linux for the demo. For obvious reasons, I won't reinstall the operating system on my machine for the demo, and it's not feasible to record the screen while doing so either, so we'll do it in a virtual machine, which is probably the best suited way to run such experiments. First of all, you don't have to make changes to your computer, and you can still get a feel of the new operating system in a sandbox, which is totally separate from the host computer. The best part of this is that any mistake that might happen during the process, it doesn't cost you hours or days to get back to where you started from. VirtualBox is a pretty popular virtualization solution and has been the one that I've been using on my computer since several years now. However, we'll use a new tool for this demo. It's called Genome Boxes or GNOME Boxes. So Boxes is an easy and modern way of running virtual machines without much configuration. Back when I tried it for the first time, I felt strongly obligated to give it a shout out on Mastodon. And another user replied to my tweet saying, Boxes creates a VM as easy as a picture viewer opens a picture. So that tells you how easy it is to use. And I also didn't know that one can right click on an ISO in a file manager and create a virtual machine. That's cute. The first step for almost all operating system installations is downloading an ISO, mostly from the official website for that Linux distribution. And that's exactly where we'll start the process from. We'll download an Arco Linux D, which is the only among three that can help us with achieving a minimal installation that we can later work on. Though Genome Boxes allows you to choose a distribution and it automatically downloads it for you from the web, I like to do it the old school way, which is supplying the ISO for my virtual machine. So I choose to create a new virtual machine. I provide it with the image file, choosing Arco here. Specify the template as Arch Linux. And proceed with the defaults. Just like I said, it was so easy to create a virtual machine with minimal prompts and questions. For this video, I'll rush through a minimal installation of Arco Linux and I'll unselect all possible checkboxes. Choose automatic partitioning. Create a root user and just take whatever is the default. This makes sure that we have the cleanest possible installation that still works, and we'll be installing all that we need in the upcoming steps. Now this process may take a little while depending upon the situation, so I'll fast forward this so that we can save some time. So once the installation is complete, we can reboot into our newly installed system. On the first login, as expected, we find a minimal installation of Arco Linux, which is Arch, that will start on the command prompt. Now that we have a running Linux system, we can bring in my custom setup scripts and set up the rest of the system with a little help from Twiner. All that we need for this step resides under here, and fortunately with all the scripts arranged as an independent bash program, we'll only be running a single command and the scripts will take care of the rest for us. After the process is complete, we'll have a system that will very closely resemble my primary Linux installation. In fact, the system that I've recorded this video on, with very little left to do manually, most of which would be mundane tasks like logging into my Firefox to sync my account and settings, and a few things here and there. Back when I first implemented a setup script in my .files, getting it onto my new computer involved multiple steps. Not that the steps were complicated in any way, but they had to be all typed manually. So I created a single script with all those commands that just manages to take care of everything. Cloning my .files as a local workspace on the target computer and then starting the setup. The scripts are in no way perfect, but at least they work every single time. Once the script is in place, I now just have to start it all with only a single command. Though this command is still not short enough, I think one command is still better than 7. So I start the process by typing it in the terminal and hitting enter. Apart from fetching Twiner and loading it as a dependency, the first step in my scripts is to detect the running operating system. As I've mentioned earlier, the setup at present only supports Arch and macOS. When either of them is found, scripts for the appropriate one are loaded and run. For this video, we'll only look at the sequence of steps for setting up my workstation on Arch. The steps for macOS are pretty much the same with a few minor differences here and there, but that could probably be another video. If the operating system is found to be outside the two this thing has been programmed for, the setup quits with a message right as you would expect. The first step for Arch is setting up the machine hostname. So if I choose to do it, I can enter a hostname to use. The only next step before we start installing the required packages is creating users. As we've already created user for me during the actual Arco installation, we can safely skip the step. The steps for installing the packages that constitute my daily workflow in Arch starts with first installing YAY, which is one of the best helper tools out there to ease up the installation of packages from the AUR. Once YAY is installed, the setup then installs packages from the official archives through Pacman and then installs the rest of the AUR packages through YAY. This step is the one where we'll have to wait for the most amount of time, so I'll fast forward it as well. We take care of a few more steps before we start setting up the GUI. One of them is switching the default user shell to fish shell. This step is still not totally automated and I have to do some typing here. The step where we configure our graphical environment is pretty lengthy on its own self. So for this very reason, I've planned a separate video to cover this in detail. To be as concise as I can be, this step installs Xserver as a display server, prompts for installation of graphic drivers from a small list of options, installs a display manager also through a prompt, and then finally prompts for installation of a graphical environment from a reasonably long list of desktop environments and window managers. Let me fast forward the video for this step as well. Next, we install drivers for my peripheral devices, which at this point is only one, my Razer Ornata Chroma keyboard that I never use outside of my desktop. Then I set up startup services, the first one of which is SyncThing, my local cloud, and Network Manager service so that I can connect to wireless networks on Arch. After the completion of the platform specific steps, there are a few more platform independent steps. I'll skip all of these for the video. So the first one is generation of an SSH key, installation of global NPM packages for my daily use. Then comes one of the most important pieces of my setup, my public projects on GitHub. We can use the previously installed npm package git getter to clone all my projects from GitHub utilizing the SSH key we generated in the previous step. This step is currently broken unless the previously generated SSH key is already added to my GitHub account, and that's pretty much impossible before I could start a web browser on this computer and then add the key. So this works only when I'm redoing the setup from somewhere in between. Finally, I take care of a few more minor steps around my Emacs configuration, which includes creating a fallback Emacs directory just in case if the xdg config directory is not supported on the installed Emacs, and then linking my configs as a default config in my dot files. Don't worry if you don't really get what these steps really mean. You can safely ignore them thinking that they are too specific for my personal setup. This concludes the setup with a simple reboot. And there we have a login and where I can choose my preferred environment and login. So we made it. If I run this setup on a generic computer, I can consider the setup complete at this point. However, there could be a few more steps to make sure my setup can utilize the hardware that I'm running it on. Speaking of a specific hardware, a great example can be my new Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Extreme Gen 3. I have a reasonably lengthy script dedicated for this particular device, specific to an Arch install that takes care of the gaps for that particular hardware. As I've already mentioned in one of my videos about how I configured my ThinkPad for Arch, it takes care of a lot of things like setting up the right DPI for the 4K screen, setting up the hybrid graphics with NVIDIA Optimus, fixing audio issues, enabling some basic power saving, and a few more. This is one of those things that are still under development, but at this point it already makes the computer much more usable than it would otherwise be without these additional steps. The script resides with a bunch of other scripts I keep in my dot files for a few other purposes, and this is also added to my path so I can invoke it without referring to the physical location. Not that it adds any value, but why not? So as we saw, setting up a new workstation doesn't take a lot of manual effort anymore. Most of these steps are also made optional through prompts, so testing a particular part of the setup on a temporary machine is also pretty simple, as I can perform only what I want and skip the rest. One other thing to note is that these scripts keep improving over time, and what I demoed today is just a representation of its state at the time of this video. One challenge to maintaining all this code is to watch for the things that keep breaking with the changing nature of the underlying dependencies, including Linux. One way to make sure that there's nothing broken is to run the entire script end to end every few weeks, finding out what is broken and fixing it. What I demoed today might look close to perfect, but the more I improve it, the more it feels lacking. And I guess that's a good thing, as there's no limit on how much one can learn and hence implement new stuff. There's still so much to improve, and as Professor Harold Abelson once rightly said, the constraints imposed in building large software systems are the limitations of our own minds. Though my scripts aren't nearly as big as what he referred to back in 1986, I think you get the point. That's all I have for this video, so let me know if you like this video through either the like or unlike buttons, or through your thoughts, feedback, and ideas in the comments. Thanks for watching it till the end. May the Maker watch over you. See you in the next video.